Hi everyone, Jacqueline here. So today's video is all about heucheras, or coral bells as they're otherwise called. And what we're going to do today is we're going to prepare them for spring, summer. After a long winter of 4 and 5 foot snowdrifts, minus 30, 40 degrees Celsius, cold winter with terrible winds taking the cold into, well, probably into the minus 50 range on some days. Luckily for us in this climate, in the zone 3B in Saskatchewan, that snow insulates the plants as long as they're suitable for our climate. And recently they're talking about changing us to a zone 4 here. It hasn't happened yet, but you can usually push a zone. So I like to push to a 4. I don't usually push further than a 4 unless I'm prepared to protect the plants for the winter. But with heucheras or coral bells, that doesn't seem to be the issue anymore. They're getting tougher and tougher the way they're making them and developing them. The colors are fabulous. We have brilliant shades of chartreuse greens, reds, purples, blacks. I mean, it's great. Black pearl, one of my favorites. So things have improved in the plant development industry. So anyhow, back to what we're doing today. Today, I'm going to show you how to care for them. Now, first thing I want to mention is heucheras can be temperamental. So what I did is I mulched around the plants for the winter to help protect them. I didn't mulch the whole bed because it was so late. It was October. It was hard to find mulch. But I did mulch around the plants and really up to the crown, but not over the crown to protect them. And then let Mother Nature do all the work with the snow. Now, to care for them in the spring, like now, when the grass starts greening and you start seeing some new growth on your heucheras, it's now time to clean them up for spring, summer. I do not fertilize my perennials. I let Mother Nature do all the work, but I do help her out by pruning and caring for them and trying to keep them pest and weed free throughout the summer and ensure they have adequate moisture. They do prefer to be watered directly on the soil rather than on the leaves, which most plants in your garden in the summer do prefer that. They want to be watered at the root level. So that's why drip irrigation is so great. But I don't have any of that in. It's on Rob's list. Rob's my husband, if you don't know. And we're hoping to incorporate that to reduce some of my work. So let's get started. I've talked enough here, and let's take care of these heucheras and prepare them for a beautiful, vibrant summer. You will notice after a long winter, and sometimes if we have a warm fall, you don't necessarily get all the weeds pulled or new weeds sprout, especially if you've added soil, which we have done here. So we can see there's some weeds in there, and I'm going to clean those out. But the key here is to clean up this heuchera and get it ready for spring, and it has done well. You do not remove any of the foliage or leaves on a plant for the winter. You leave that because it's protection. When we cut them back now. So what we're going to do is, if you can see here in that crown, that there is new foliage coming in. I'll see if I can get a close-up on that. That's better. Now you can see all the new foliage on this plant. And I have a train coming, so it might get a bit noisy. So here is the new growth here. So what we want to do is we want to remove all these nasty shriveled up leaves, and then of course get any leaves or weeds out from underneath it. Make sure we pull back the mulch just a tad bit and allow room for moisture to go into the plant's root system when it rains. We haven't turned our water on officially yet, but we probably will this weekend because it's finally warming up. But we want to make sure when we get rain that it can absorb that beautiful rainwater. And I notice when I clear these out, sometimes we find a lot of ladybugs. So we'll start with just taking out any weeds around the plant. And then I like to go through and just take out any leaves or debris. I want to get rid of the stuff that makes the plant look ugly as we start our cleanup. So I'm just going to get down here on my hands and knees And we're going to clean out these leaves. And so like leaves like this that have no damage on them, I leave them. But I do take out leaves like this that show a lot of damage. And I like to use good snips that are very pointy so I can get very specific cuts in to clean them out. And I like to take them right at the neck of the plant and just go through it and carefully cut them. This is not a fast process. If they're brittle enough, you can go through and pick out the leaves. But for the most part, you're just going to give them a really good cleaning. And look at the ladybugs coming out now. You can see them here. Whoops, I tossed her. Flip her back over, poor thing. And you can see that. So let's take out anything that makes the plant look old and just come in here and trim along the sides. And you can see the plant's already looking better, healthier. And then I just take off any of those stems that are kind of standing out and give it a good clean. And any wooden stems too you take out. Now that we've cleaned it all out, take off all the debris, I can push the mulch back up, but not as much as I had it before. And there you have, your plant is ready for spring, summer growth. And all that energy that was going to those dead leaves will now go to the new growth and even some flowers. And this is the black pearl heuchera, which is my absolute favorite. So you can see, you can get quite a bit off of one plant of leaves. But doesn't that look better? She is pretty. Look at the sun shining on those leaves. Beautiful. So that is how you're going to clean up all your heucheras. Yes, it's a very time-consuming job, but they are worth it. And look at all the ladybugs out that were sleeping in those leaves, which is wonderful that I have so many ladybugs in the garden, because that really helps keep the aphids in check. They're hard workers, ladybugs, and they do a great job. They will bite you though. They do bite if they're on you. Just a heads up on that. It's a tiny little bite, but still, they can be a bit annoying that way. Let's pick on a different one. Here we have another heuchera. This is more of the plum series for colors. I'll put the name on the screen for this one. But this one really shows the winter kill on it, because you can see the rusty looking leaves. So this color shows it more than I think the black pearl does. But we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go in and we're going to give this one a good clipping. And then I'll show you a couple other ones and how they look too, just so you can distinguish them and see that we treat them all the same. So this is real easy. Once again, there's some weeds in here. I haven't cleaned up anything yet from the last cleanup in the fall. So don't be haters. This is what happens with gardening in the spring, and it'll be all cleaned up shortly here. But right now, plants are more important than the weeds, but that will change. So what I'm going to do is come in here and look for new growth and just take out any of the leaves that are brown to let the sun get at the new ones, cut out any of the stems, because this one had flowered last year. And there might be some winter kill on some of the new shoots too, because we did have a hard frost. But you can see how much that cleaned it up. Much better. Let's do another one over here. This bed got a variety of heucheras in it because I got them on sale. So you'll see different kinds in here. And some of them didn't have names, but most do. And like I said, I can identify them for you if you're interested in any of them this year. Whoa. And I just walked into a tree branch. Okay, so this one has a way more dead growth on it. So let's help it out. It's also in the shade a bit more. there's the crowns of the plants right there. You don't want to snap them off. You want to leave them because they're sending out shoots. And some hosta leaves, which just give it a quick cut. There we go. All right, and that one's ready. This one looks really bad over here. If they don't get enough water, which this area here on this curve seems to have issues with water, which we need to resolve, then sometimes you get smaller growth and more dead leaves on it. So we're just going to go through and clean it up so the energy once again goes to the new leaves. It doesn't look like much, but it'll be fine. There. So these here are coral bells, the old-fashioned style of coral bells. And they are higher up. They aren't so profuse down at ground level. They tend to be a taller plant. And so cleaning these up can be a little more challenging because of the crown. Cutting off the crown. But we may have to on these. They are also more tolerant. So first they're going to go in and just take off a bunch of this rot. And you can see this is really one plant, but it took a bit of a killing over the winter, probably because the rabbits have been in here. And these were sale plants, so sometimes they need a little more TLC. So I'm not going to go too hard because there's the stem and there's some new shoots right there. Same with this one. And you can see how they look much different than the other coral bells that are cleaned up, or Heucheras. Let's go over and do another variety here. But here's another one. This one's really brown. So let's see what we get. We'll see if it survived actually, because it is so darn brown. Not much left, but there are some shoots right there. So we'll take our chances with that. Not pretty at all. I tended to group the same kind of plants together as well. So you'll notice I feel the same, and I'm just doing the odd random one here and there of the different varieties for you to see. So I'll go back over these plants and I'll finish the rest of them I have out here doing the exact same procedure I just did, and hopefully when the rain comes they can benefit from it. But for the most part they look pretty decent. There's the odd one, the little crispier than others, but by getting all those dead leaves off it, it gives it a chance to ingest the sun and all the nutrients that it needs for a healthy start. So if you have Heucheras or coral bells, this is the time of year, if you're in a cold climate, to get them cleaned up and ready for summer. And if you like, you can fertilize them with an all-purpose fertilizer as well. Please note though that they do like a bit of acid, so an all-natural fertilizer meets those needs at this time of year. So thank you for watching everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.